releases its very first and Q1 report on since the Political Party Funding Act was promulgated. And with those introductory and explanatory remarks, I'd like to invite the Vice Chairperson of the Electoral Commission to read the statement of the Electoral Commission. Vice Chair.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Masuku, Dr. Masuku. Today, the Commission is pleased to publicly release the 2021 to 2022 first quarter Party Funding Disclosures Report. This announcement is in terms of the Political Party Funding Act, Act number 6 of 2018, and its supporting regulations. This is the first report since the promulgation of the Act, and the Commission had 6 months within which to publicly issue this report, this first Party Funding Disclosure Report. However, in the interests of openness and transparency, which are the primary objectives of the Act, the Commission has expedited the processing of the report, and that enables us to release it today. Our political party funding regime makes it preemptory for all registered political parties to disclose to the Commission all donations above 100,000 Rand, which is the threshold, in 1 year. Regarding the upper end of the threshold, no donations may be made by a single donor that are in total above 15 million Rand within that year. The Act also puts specific restrictions on sources of funding for political parties, including the prescription of donations by government departments, by state-owned entities, and foreign governments and agencies. So these are prohibited. Further restrictions have also been put on the amount and purpose for which other foreign entities can make direct donations to registered political parties. This prescription requires that such donations are for the purpose of facilitating skills development, training, and policy development of the political parties. The pecuniary limit in this regard is 5 million rands per annum. So if we turn then to the reports that have been made, in terms of the direct donation, in respect of this reporting period, this reporting quarter, 3 political parties made declarations of qualifying donations from donors. The total value of these declared donations in the first quarter is 30,008,841 rands and 74 cents. The parties which made the declarations of direct donations constitute 2 political parties that are represented and 1 unrepresented political party. These are the African National Congress, ANC, the Democratic Alliance, DA, and Action SA. The ANC and the DA declared individual donations that they received of 10,720,000 rands and 15,983,751 cents, 51 rands and 48 cents, respectively. So the first coming to the ANC and the second to the DA. Action SA declared total direct donations amounting to 3,305,090 rands and 26 cents. The reporting regime also requires the in-kind donations to be reported, and of the submissions received, 2 political parties, namely the DA and Action SA, declared donations in kind. The total value of these donations in kind is 855,685 rands and 41 cents. This is made up of the two amounts, the first being 499,595 rands and 15 cents for the DA, and 356,090 rands and 26 cents for Action SA. The donations from foreign sources, two entities, foreign entities, made direct donations to a political party, namely the DA, during this period. These donations were compliant with the requirements as set out in Section 8.4 of the Act, namely that the donations must only be for the purposes of training or skills development of a member of a political party or for the policy development by that political party. There was no breach or contravention of the Act in this regard detected at this stage. It is important for the Commission to encourage compliance, and as part of the Commission's efforts to foster compliance with the Act, all registered political parties, both represented and unrepresented, were sent reminders to submit their declarations by the due date, which was the 31st of July this year. Although not all political parties responded, a significant number of them, especially among the represented parties, reported in writing that they did not receive any qualifying donations during the reporting period. The qualifying donations, just to repeat, are those that are above the threshold of 100,000 rands. Section 9 of the Act requires that both the political party receiving the donation and its juristic donor, that's any corporate or entity that makes the donation, must declare the donations. So in this regard, two donors had failed to comply with the dual disclosure requirement. The donations affected are in relation to the ANC, but the political party, namely the ANC, had already made the declaration and had therefore complied from its end, and the donors had not complied with their requirement in terms of dual reporting to separately declare the donations at the time that this report was finalized. This had meant that the record in the report refers to what is referred as what is called single-legged donation reports. In this regard, the Commission issued a directive in terms of Section 15 of the Act for the party to further pursue the donors concerned for their compliance, as failure to comply may have led to investigations and possible actions being pursued for non-compliance in relation to the specific donors, and this is dealt with in terms of Section 14.3 of the Act. However, we're very pleased to say that since the publication of the report, there has been the necessary compliance, and that is something that we're very pleased that has taken place. So, despite Section 9.2 of the Party Funding Act, which provides that only juristic persons are required to declare their donations, there have been instances where some natural persons have declared their donations. This is not mandatory in terms of the law, but however, it is welcomed. In terms of Section 9.1a of the Party Funding Act, read together with the Regulation 9 of the presidential regulations concerning this Act, only those amounts above the prescribed threshold of 100,000 are required to be disclosed. However, some parties have declared amounts that are equal to and not above that prescribed threshold, and such disclosures also form part of this report. Some donors did not submit their declarations via the online portal. In such cases, proof of donation in the form of bank deposit or electronic fund transfer, the EFT slips, and declarations that were made from the political party side were used to confirm and therefore compile the reports in terms of such funds. The Commission will, of course, look into ways for making the reporting process even less cumbersome for donors to submit their declarations so as not to inadvertently discourage any direct donations. Some political parties and donors waited until the end of the quarter or until they were reminded before they should make their disclosures. In future, the Commission will encourage political parties and donors to make prompt declarations to avoid any bottlenecks or to avoid finding out at the last minute that their declarations were not compliant for one or other reason. The Act also deals with the Multi-Party Democracy Fund, and the report also caters for a report on this fund as well. In the first quarter of this 2021 to 2022 financial year, the fund, the Multi-Party Democracy Fund, has received only a single contribution from a member of the public, Mr. Paul Malcolm Graham. He made a contribution of 2,000 Rand on the 5th of May 2021 via his MagTag credit. And this remains the only contribution received in that fund. Mr. Graham was kind enough and proud enough of his support for multi-party democracy, and he waived his right to anonymity. Regulation 5.3 of the Presidential Regulations, read together with Sections 6.7 and 26.2 of the Act, provides that the money in the Multi-Party Democracy Fund will only be due for distribution once the amount in the fund reaches a total of at least 1 million rand. The effect of this is that to date there have not been any political party allocations from the Multi-Party Democracy Fund. The Commission would like to use this occasion to again make an appeal to the South African public and corporates alike to open their purses and to support the effort of multi-party democracy. The sustainability of the Multi-Party Democracy Fund is a critical step towards a healthy democracy as envisaged in our Constitution. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Masuku.
Thank you very much, Vice Chairperson. At this point in time, I'm going to invite any questions, comments. Please remember to tell us, to introduce yourself by telling us your name and the media house from which you come. I am please, Natasha.
Thank you. Commissioner Love, as Natasha from SABC News, I think just the last time you briefed us about the about the Political Funding Act was around March, April, and you indicated that you were still training various political parties about the online party funding system. From the side of political parties, were there any problems with the training donations? You've mentioned that I think the cutoff date was the 31st of July. Is there any grace period for political parties who still want to submit their declarations? I love the fact that you mentioned the Multi-Party Democracy Fund and that only one gentleman contributed 2,000 Rand. The last time we spoke, the Commission had indicated that they would be engaging potential funders to actually support this fund. So has that process begun? Because if only one person contributes to this fund, means, well, there's a problem. The public isn't so keen with supporting this. And just a clarity-seeking question. The last time we were here on this fund, you had said that political parties need to declare 100,000 and the maximum is 15 million. Is it 15 million or is it 5? Just clarity around that, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any further questions? I'll hand over to you, Vice Chair.
Thanks, Dr. Masuku. I'm going to just answer the question in relation to engaging potential donors for the multi-party fund, and I will then ask Mr. Mahlangu to deal with a number of the detailed and the questions. But let me start with that issue. I think that we indicated then that we really wanted people to understand and be, frankly speaking, aware of the fund and what the provisions are in the Act, and we wanted people as a consequence to recognize that it is a fund that is created by an Act of Parliament to encourage donors to give to the project of multi-party democracy. And potentially there is a lot more work, I think, that you also are recognizing that we need to undertake in order not necessarily to be targeting this or that individual or so on as a donor, but to create the general awareness of the importance of the project of multi-party democracy, and in that way to make the existence of this new entity something that can be widely embraced. And we did in that regard appeal to yourselves and continue to do so to help us to ensure that this innovation, which is brought about through this Act of Parliament, is something that there is real awareness of and that encouragement for. So we certainly are concerned that there hasn't been the kind of uptake, and we do believe that part of the reason for that, I'm sure there are many others, but part of the reason for that is because of an insufficient awareness of the fact of the fund's existence and that it is fully in operation. But maybe I can pass the other questions over to Mr. Mahlangu. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Natasha, and good afternoon to all of you and the viewers at home. The first question, Natasha, around the grace. This report is for the period of the 1st of April until the end of June 2021. And as the Commission, we've granted the political parties 30 days, which is from the 1st of July until the end of July, to prepare this report. I must say that the training that we have conducted to all the accounting officers of the political parties has assisted. And this being the new system, of course, you would have instances where you would request accounting officers that you should take them through the system. So the grace time that we have given them is the 30 days. I mean, the 31 days from the 1st of July to the 31st of July to prepare this report. The second question around the 5 million, then the 15 million, and the threshold of above 100,000 per annum. For direct donations, any amount above 100,000 but limited to 15 million per annum must be disclosed, must be declared by both the donor and the recipient. The amount of 5 million relates to direct donations that are made by foreign donors. And it's limited to 3 things, which is skills development, training, and policy development. So it's limited to 5 million per annum.
Thank you very much. Bali, please.
I just want to find out, I know that some political parties have resorted to crowdfunding as something that they will be relying on. And we know that when it comes to crowdfunding, people can do so anonymously. How is the Commission planning on maneuvering around that aspect when it comes to crowdfunding? I know that political parties can say that this was done through crowdfunding, but how will you monitor that one person has not donated over 100,000 rand or that 15 million threshold that the IEC has also put in? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think I'll take that time to the chapter.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mbali. Crowdfunding is not going to be treated differently from any other donation. So meaning that if a member of the crowd donates any amount above 100,000, that has to be declared to the commission. Any amount that is less than 100,000, political parties are obliged to keep record to that effect. And the auditors, part of what the political parties are supposed to do is to appoint the auditors. So we will pick up at the end of the financial year, once the audit has been conducted, that the political party has complied or has not complied with the provisions of the legislation for any amount that is below the threshold.
Thank you very much. Is there a question online?
We have two questions. The first question, what will you do with parties that ignored reporting when they were required to report? The second one, could you disclose the parties that decided to ignore reporting?
Thank you very much. I'll take that to you again.
Okay, thank you very much for the question. The parties who have ignored reporting, according to the statement that was read by the VC, we have sent reminders to all the political parties that are registered with the Commission. You would be aware that this legislation applies to both represented and unrepresented political parties, but all these parties are registered with the Commission. Now, in an event where information comes to the fore, we will, investigate which section of the Act has not been complied with, and the necessary action will be taken based on that. And then the second question is around which political parties have reported whether they've received donations or not. At the time of the preparation of this report, we had 504 registered political parties. Now, I mean represented and unrepresented. Of those, of course, 3 have submitted the declarations as per the statement. 108 parties have responded to our correspondence that they haven't received donations that require declarations. And 393 political parties did not respond to our correspondence.
Okay. Thank you very much. Colleagues, I don't see any more questions. Yes, please.
It's myself from on the 303, on the 303 political parties who didn't respond at all. What happens to those parties in terms of your mandates as the IEC?
Yeah, until the complaint is brought to our attention that a particular political party received donation and has not done the necessary declaration, the action that the Commission will take is to communicate, to those political parties around the requirement of declaration. I think the challenge that some political parties are going to be faced with is that there are smaller political parties which are expected to comply with the legislation. However, they are not getting money from the state as a result of the fact that they are not represented. I think the complaints that we're getting from those parties is that if we appoint registered auditors, we won't be in a position to pay those auditors as a result of the fact that we're getting money. We're not getting any money from the state.
Okay. Yes, please, Natasha.
Commissioner Secretary, just allow me, please. It was about yesterday, the list of COPTA announcing that elections will take place on the 1st of November. Are you just gauging, people's reactions on social media? Are you not worried that because it's the first time an election will take place on a Monday, that then subsequently means you have a long weekend? Are you not worried about voter turnout because of that long weekend and also COVID-19? Just a reaction to that.
I'm not sure we of course are really worried that we achieve as great a participation as possible. And part of our endeavors are to ensure also that we are able to comply with our understanding of the order from the court. To do this, we need every minute that is possible. So in a way, at the moment, that is why I think the fact that it's on a Monday, we are hoping that the interest and the activation that will, we hope, ensue of the population will make sure that the notion of a long weekend is not the notion, but rather the effort and the real commitment to participate.
Vice Chair, I think I was going to add to Natasha that I suppose the question arises from the fact that in the past we have always argued that we choose a Wednesday because it is far enough from the weekend that precedes and the weekend that goes forward. So Wednesday is indeed our ideal day in the week for holding an election, but we are not in an ideal space. So we will take whatever it is that is necessary. And our job as this institution is to give you the best election that we possibly can. No excuses. So we'll have to live with that Monday. Hopefully people recognize that what is at stake is much more important than one weekend, once off weekend, long weekend, and come to vote. Thank you. Colleagues, I do not see any further questions. I saw a long message over there. I think it was merely a comment. The person was, I would rather not say what they were doing. But thank you very much, colleagues, for once again coming through. We are grateful all the time. Is there another question? Did you say another question?
No.
No.
Oh, does this matter that the EFF received no donations above 100,000? I think I'll answer that on behalf of the Electoral Commission and say that to the Electoral Commission, we're very clear about the things that we can control and the things that we cannot control. We cannot control who gets a donation and who doesn't get a donation. And our job is not to feel anything. Our job is to make sure that an election is run. We can, in our personal spaces, regret and do all those kinds of things. But for purposes of what it is that we are mandated to do, I think we're very clear about what it is that we're supposed to do. We can't control that. Sure. Thank you. And just as they move the mics to me, I'd like to thank you all for coming through. If there are any other residual questions, we're happy to take them at the end of the press briefing, as you normally do. But thank you so much for taking the time to come here and spread the message. We rely on you as always. Please be safe, and we will see you soon. It is election season, so we will call upon you quite soon. Thank you very much.
So long.
Thank you. Thank you. Commissioner Malika.